Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Delighted to have Chris Kidd in the house. He's on every week, and this week we've got him on twice in the same day. We're going to have a two-part interview with someone that I've been really looking forward to doing this. And before we get into that interview, I want Chris Kidd to tell you a little more about what he does. By the way, you can look him up at Chris Kidd, that's KIDD.com. And he's awesome in the field of financial coaching, an author, and I really consider someone kind of a go-to guy. In fact, we were talking about a financial subject just before we got on the air, he's one of my go-to guys, one of my people I like to visit with to find out what's happening on the business and financial front, really on the personal economy side. That makes a difference. So love what you do, Chris.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it too. I enjoy.
He's a fan of himself.
I enjoy. I enjoy helping people, especially with money situations, as far as getting out of debt and how they can handle their finances better to try to eliminate stress that that most families have, and also which is the other aspect. There's the investment side and the entrepreneurship side that I deal with as well, but. Kind of another level that I work on is, athletes, entertainers, business owners, high income individuals who want to learn how to handle their wealth that they've got, especially if it's something that's on a short term type deal. And we've had a couple guys on that we've been able to talk about that. And actually, my guest today is no different. He's actually quite an authority on the subject. Adonal Foyle. He's a former NBA player, and he is actually an author as well as of a financial book. We didn't get a chance to talk as much about as I would have liked to last time, but it's Winning the Money Game: Lessons Learned from the Financial Fouls of Pro Athletes. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and some of the tips that he can offer.
Yeah, we're going to make up for that this time, and welcome again to our program. We're glad to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me. I missed you guys, so I knew you guys were going to have me back.
Hey, again, kind of remind the listener of your story. It's an amazing one.
Yeah, I was born in the Caribbean on a very, very small island called St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but the island was called Canawan. About 500 people. I started playing basketball very late, around the age of 14, 15, and literally within like a year, I was on my way to the United States. I met two amazing people, two college professors, and they offered me the opportunity to come to the United States and use my mediocre basketball skills at the time to get a great education. So I came here, went to high school, and eventually went down to Colgate University, where I graduated in history, and then got drafted by Golden State Warriors. I spent 10 years of my career out here in the Bay Area, and then eventually I went to Florida for a few years, and then just recently retired.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, Adonal, when did you start thinking about playing at the pro level? Because I know initially, when you first came here, you weren't thinking, "Hey, I'm going to America to be a pro basketball player." All right, what was kind of on your mind then? And then when did you start thinking about actually making it to the pro level?
I was terrible the first 2 years of my career, as you can imagine. So the NBA was really not a thought. I mean, for me, really getting an opportunity to go to college and get an education was huge, because I was going to be the first person in my family to go on to college. So that was a really big deal for me. During my college career, one of the things that the coach did at Colgate, because we were a very small liberal arts school, he really expanded our schedule and really got me an opportunity to play against some of the big-time competition. And as a result of that and our two appearances in the NCAA tournament, I think around the end of my sophomore, going into my junior year, when I got the call about really that they were interested in me coming out and maybe having a chance to make it into the league as a lottery pick. So we had a family discussion, and we started talking about what that will mean and what I wanted to do, and really start having those kind of conversation. Eventually, I left as a junior, and then I got drafted 8 overall by the Warriors. I came out here, went back to school, finished up my undergraduate at UC Berkeley, and then really graduated from Colgate a few years later.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Tell us your story in your book and what made you write it. Give us that.
Yeah, so one of the things that I did while I was in the league, I wanted to really take on the idea of transition. I wanted to, I think for me, most selfishly, I wanted to talk to guys who had been through the league and really talk to them about, like, what are some of the challenges they face when they retire. So as part of my master's thesis in sports psychology, I basically interviewed 10 retired NBA players and talked to them about what challenges they face when they left the league. And it was amazing for me because a lot of it was about, loss of relationship, loss of social status, and but one of the things that keep coming up over and over was this financial insecurity that they had. Many of them talked about they wish they'd save more, they wish they'd pay more attention, they wish culturally they had basically respected money in a different way. So I just thought that was a really fascinating thing. And then after that, I put my my 256-page thesis down. I said, okay, my academic work is done. And while I went into the league as a director of player development in Orlando, and while I was there doing player development, I really started seeing in a big way some issue regarding players and finance. So I wanted to really attack this, not just from an academic side, but I wanted to look at it from a sociological as well as a psychological perspective. How do players make these decisions? Because these are not decisions. Yes, they lose a lot of money, but to me there is much bigger decision being made in their minds that they're not aware of. So I wanted to really attack this, obviously from a financial perspective, but really looking at it through the lens of sociology and psychology.
Yeah, that's interesting. And kind of figuring out why they have the problems rather than what the problems merely are.
Indeed, right? Because, it's so easy for us sometimes to say, if I had this, I would just do this. And sometimes we miss, like, some of the challenges these guys have. So, what I say, all the time to people is that if you're an athlete and you come from an inner city or you come from a very negative background in terms of what you've been exposed to, and you have an entourage, if you just view the entourage as a negative thing, then you miss what that entourage may mean to that player. So for that player, that entourage may mean that's the person that gave them a pair of shoes when they were growing up. That's the person that protected them. That's the person that is basically akin to the family. So if you just look at it and say, well, this person is leeching off of him, then you miss part of that. It may be true, but you miss it if you just look at it through that lens. So you have to say, okay, obviously these people mean a lot to the athletes. So how could we enable the athletes to take care of them the way he wants to, but not make it to be something that is permanent? So you have to look at it that way, and then you start understanding. Because if you just go to an athlete and say, hey, your boy's taking advantage of you, you should just get rid of him, it's not going to happen because that person means more to him sometimes than his own family.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. That's something that people really don't think about. It. They just look at it like, hey, you got all these guys, following you around that you got on a payroll, and they're just mooching off of you. That's stupid. You're just throwing money away. And like you said, it's the psychological part of it more so than just the financial side. How did you? I guess what are a couple other things that you noticed that mistakes that are being made and stuff that can be corrected?
Well, one of the biggest one is just really getting involved. Almost every situation I looked at is really about somebody else taking advantage of the athlete because the athlete is not paying attention. He's on the road, he's doing all this stuff, and he doesn't have the resources to really figure out how to audit people that is around him. And I think that becomes one of the biggest problems. So I wanted to have, really teach these guys about how to approach, building a team, how they look at the team, and structurally really trying to help them to figure out the next step. So really getting involved and really learning, really, it's about really just trying to say, okay, I don't know everything that I need to know, but a good financial person should be able to teach me that by the end of my career, I may not be able to know everything, but hopefully I'll be able to ask the right question.
Got to take a break on that. Adonal Foyle, he's our guest with Chris Kidd and me. We're going to have more of him right after this on The Price of Business.